All right, welcome to the latest episode of the Closer's Corner podcast. My name is Greg Simpson. I'm your host as always. Recap of what we do here at the Closer's Corner podcast is letting you guys, the general public who listens and watches to this podcast, understand what it takes to be a deal maker, what it takes for a real estate agent and investor to actually get these deals to the closing table, because it is not as easy as it looks like on social media, on TV, or anywhere else you've heard about real estate investing and being an agent. So I have two of my favorite agents in the group on the podcast today. I got Shannon and Claudia here today. Woo woo. Oh, they sound super excited to be here today. So we're going to talk about their journey a little bit into real estate, why they got into the business, and how they're doing now. So, ladies, thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So, I don't know who wants to go first, but tell us a little bit about why you guys got into real estate in general and how that journey started.
Okay, I'll start. So I got into real estate, honestly, out of, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, kind of what we all do. So for me, I started at a wholesale brokerage, which we're all very familiar with. I started at New Western.
Okay.
I learned very quickly what off-market and how investing works, and realized that I could really do it on my own. I was very fortunate to have a skill set where I seek out people who are smarter than me. It has served me well till this day. And I had someone who took me under their wing and taught me, and then the rest is history. And now I'm here and flipping my own homes and helping other people list theirs, and it's great. Super.
How long have you been an agent?
3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years? Okay.
Maybe, but
okay.
Don't take me wrong.
Don't quote her.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
feels
okay.
like 100 years.
I understand that. Okay.
It feels like 100. Probably about 3 at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
I forget, did you come here straight after there, or did you have
No,
like a lull?
I went to 2 different brokerages.
Okay.
One was just
Shut
like
there.
I need to hang my license.
Right.
And another one was a group of investors that I worked with, and they happened to have a broker's license, and I was listing properties for them. So
Got
it just
it.
kind of made sense for me to go there. That relationship no longer served its purpose, and so I needed something that was bigger and better.
Gotcha.
So now I'm at Outpass.
Gotcha. How long have you been here now? It's about, it's been a while now.
Maybe
Year and a half?
Maybe a year.
2
I know,
I feel
but
like it's
now
been longer than that.
I
But
see. Maybe it's just because I drive you crazy.
I don't know. I don't think you drive me crazy at all, honestly. So
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, most people wouldn't say that. I probably say a year, and
Okay.
I'm super happy here,
Awesome.
mainly because I get to do what I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
which is the best part.
Well, that's what literally I've had several of you guys on this podcast, and just like, why us? And you're like, because you let us be ourselves. And I'm like, well, duh. But it's not a duh apparently in the market.
No, not in this market, especially when you look at brokerages. A lot of people want you to follow a specific model that works for them, and that's
Mhm.
really great. But if if you don't drink that Kool-Aid, then you don't belong in that group, and that's okay. But I'm just not going to be there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to help
Absolutely.
you make money because
Mhm.
you don't want to support my team. You don't want to support my vision, and
Yeah.
it's just not a thing.
Yep. So what about you? How did you get started and a little bit of your journey?
Okay, so I got started kind of the same reason you did. I was bartending. I worked for a finance company, and I just kind of was like, I don't love this, and I think that there's more for me out there. And it sounds super lame, but like I always loved HGTV
Okay.
and homes, and like I wanted to go to school for interior design. So I thought that was, let me try real estate. Let's just try it. I worked for a really small like boutique firm, and it was an interesting experience.
Mm-hmm.
It was my first real estate job, so I thought, okay, maybe this is how it is. Like this is what real estate's like. I'm gonna close a couple deals a year, and that's gonna be it. I had no idea about investment real estate or that there was any other side like that. So
I
I
find
did
that
that.
so interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
So
many-
fascinating.
So we had this conversation earlier today when we're kind of like prepping. Okay, what are we going to talk about?
Greg gonna ask us.
What are the questions on the test? And there's so many agents who don't have a mindset of anything other than on market, on MLS. You talk to an agent about no inspection period or something like that, and they're like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I had no idea.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it is crazy, and I feel super fortunate that I was able to come up on the opposite side.
Same.
It's a completely different ballgame for us.
Yeah, so that's why Jeremy and I have worked really good in this because he came from the big box. I came from I'm not an agent, but
From no box.
From no box,
Right.
like literally zero box, to going, why don't we just merge this together? Because it seems like such a logical thing, and it's like just not. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I was actually interviewing a guy yesterday who's coming on board. I would put it at 99.5%.
Right.
But he was like, he went to EXP, or is going to go to EXP, find out they don't allow any wholesaling. I'm like, they can't not let you do wholesaling.
It's illegal, right?
It's contract law, but that's like
Right.
that. I digress. But it was just like, why? Why don't they want these people doing it? Is because they're not drinking, one, the Kool-Aid, or at least two, they don't want you to realize that you don't need to rely on the brokerage
Right, you
to
don't need
do
them.
investing.
Well, I think it also comes. I think most people in that, especially if you're talking at EXP or any Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, any of our
And there's
really
nothing
large,
wrong with those brokerages.
No,
I'm
there's
not
nothing
bashing them
wrong
at
with
all.
them.
They have their place in the marketplace.
But
for
what
sure.
I'm getting at is that they're coming from a mentality of the same of like, this system has worked for us. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's the mentality as opposed to here at our brokerage, and also the group of people that Claudia and I work with is, what do you know that I don't know? How can we make it better? Like that type of situation.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, network is a huge thing, and I had none of that. I didn't even know trades or lenders, and
Yeah.
having a network with those people is key to your success and their
Absolutely.
success. So
So how did you guys meet and get together and decide, we're going to build this
gonna-
team?
We actually
we had known each other.
known each other.
Yep.
We had both worked in the bar industry, but
Okay.
never in the same bar together.
Okay.
Which would have been like, so much fun.
Dangerous.
But so dangerous is the right word, yes. And then you reached out to me, and
Yeah.
we had a coffee date. And
She
she
went
was
to
like,
King State. I just, Shannon was killing it on Instagram, and I see her doing all these things, and I'm like, damn, that looks cool. Like, what the hell am I doing?
how do I play with that?
How do I help her out? So we just met for coffee and hit it off, and she was like, yeah, want to come to my house right now that I'm doing an Ybor? I'm like, sweet, yep, let's do it.
Yeah, I did. I brought her over to
She
Ybor,
brought me over.
and we went to North River and a couple other projects. That house was speaking
A
of
lot
a
of
difficult,
terrazzo.
yeah.
We can talk about that one if you'd like. Maybe you don't want to talk about it. But
No, that one is like closed and done, so that
Yeah.
one's like safe to talk about.
Okay.
That was a deal that, was a wholesale deal that was supposed to be a flip, but I randomly brought a friend of mine over to the house to say, look how cool this house is. It was over in this really nice area of Tampa. House was in pristine condition for a flip that you would buy, like not holes in the wall like we
Right,
normally
right.
see. And he's like, I have a buyer for you. And I was like, what? And he goes, I gave them what I thought was an outrageous number. And they said, okay. I was like, okay,
Nice.
cool. Went under contract. They were investors. They were going to Airbnb it. Long story short, contract fell out because their financing fell out and whatnot. So at that point, I was
Ouch.
like, well, let me just put it on the market.
Mm-hmm.
We put it on the market. We had a decent amount of interest in it. Had a couple different contract offers. Took a contract at a price we were happy with. It didn't appraise. Not only did it not appraise.
Like a retail buyer or like an investor
Retail buyer.
Okay.
They were, because we could pass a 4-point.
Okay.
So
Right, the
it was a
typical wholesale.
conventional buyer. Couldn't get it to appraise. They had walked away. We had canceled contract. I was literally the next day demoing, and the realtor calls me back and said they're willing to pay.
The gap.
They were going to pay the gap.
Wow.
Because they were emotionally invested.
Okay. How big was the gap?
Probably it was at least 5 figures.
Okay.
So we'll put it that way.
It was a really
pretty,
cool
It was a
house.
pretty. I'm not going to put.
Yeah, it was a cool house
yeah,
for sure.
it was a really cool house. It was a really unique property.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they had already had their contractors in. They had already started daydreaming, which is
Yeah.
me as the listing
Yep.
agent. Please imagine.
Yes,
what are you gonna
absolutely.
like? You're having breakfast right here. Like this is why we stage our
Mm-hmm.
homes. And yeah, so they came back, but that was one of the biggest lessons for me was we made money on that deal, but by the time we closed, I could have made 3 times as much had I flipped it.
Yeah.
So it was really a pick what you're gonna do and stick with it. Sometimes there's gonna be the river's gonna move and things are gonna flow a different way. But if I would have just stuck to my guns on that, it would have been a different situation.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about ROI of what you made on it. You don't tell me like the number if you don't want to. That's fine. I don't care. But you talk about tripling your money. But also, what time frame would you have to go through to get to that triple versus maybe the single that you got?
We made close to, I would think it might have been I think it was between myself and my equity partner, our total was I think 18% in about 4 months, which is good.
That's
all we did was
good,
clean
yeah,
it
yeah.
out and pay an electric bill.
Okay.
Like, we didn't remodel, we didn't do anything like that. But if I would have demoed it the day we bought it, I could have sold it 6 months later. And
Yeah,
what I
the
know,
4 months is
and
a longer time
especially
frame than I
now,
would
because
have
even you
expected.
looked at that house and
Yeah.
you were like, yeah, no, Shannon, why are you buying this?
Yeah.
And
I was
then-
concerned for you. 'Cause I was like, I don't see
He
it.
was. He
I
was
didn't
like,
see it. I was like,
Concerned.
we had beers, and I was like,
Oh,
oh,
I don't know how
okay.
it's gonna go. But what's crazy is if you think about, because of course now the market what it is now, you
Yeah.
know, we
Who
would
would
have
have saw that?
right, exactly. And that's also where I kind of have a niche is for me is I see a home and I know it's special, and I know that it's gonna, because that's what I love. I'm not the person who's trying to flip 100 a year. That's not what I'm interested in. There's a lot of things I'd like to do 100 times, and that's not it.
No, it's not. It's not as glamorous as everyone thinks it is. It's really not.
And it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of time, and I don't care how organized you are. It's a cluster. It just is.
Yes, it is. I'm getting a call from my wife, so I don't hope everything's okay.
Oh, one of the babes. But yeah, no, so that one was definitely a learning lesson on, for me as an investor, that's more an investor lesson than a realtor lesson. Because it was, hey, you saw it, you believed in it, and you got swayed.
I think that's a thing that we sometimes do because we're investors, we're entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs get the shiny object syndrome a lot.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what wholetailing for a lot of people has become. Airbnb is this new silver bullet thing, which is not actually as good as everyone thinks it's going to be.
Really?
Really.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole on this podcast today. We can talk about it later. It's just the returns aren't as good as everyone thinks they're because everyone thinks they're going to be at a 90% occupancy and they're more like a 40 to 50% occupancy.
Well, and that's the thing is so like we have Airbnb, but when I run my numbers, I run every number at 40%.
As you should, but that's not what people are doing.
Right, but I gotta wonder. I mean, this is off topic. Maybe we shouldn't have this conversation, but that seems idiotic of me to not.
No, it's okay. It's what we're talking about on the pod. It's what we're doing
You
is
have to
educating
be
people.
conservative.
Extremely.
We were talking about like numbers and flips, and what I make on a flip versus the person next to me makes on a flip is because I run my number this way. I won't buy something if I don't think I can make this much. And most of the time, I'm making 20 or 30% more than that number, and I might know that that's.
Yeah, that's why you're an investor, not a gambler. I've always called those people that we're referring to gamblers. They're not investors.
It's just such a tight margin.
Why would you do all that work for that razor thin margin? One, and then two, what happens if you happen to not do your due diligence either on the ARV correctly, or you miscalculate or
happens if a
renovate, or just
hurricane
something comes
hits?
through. Or
Unknowns.
just something comes through. Yeah, a hurricane.
And you have to pay your insurance deductible that's $8,000, and
Or
you had a
not
profit
even
margin
that.
of 20.
What happens if you're having hard money? Hard money don't give a shit if that comes through. You're still paying that interest
Oh,
payment.
Lord, don't get
Happened
me
to me.
started.
It happened to me in Irma. Irma came through.
Yeah.
And I had a deal in St. Pete, and it didn't do a lot of damage to the house.
Right.
But who was my contractor? Their primary business was a water, mold, fire restoration company. So when Irma came through, guess whose project didn't get touched for 3 months? This guy's.
Yeah. That's why I'm super fortunate to be in the position that I'm in.
That was a lesson learned. Never do that again. But
Yeah, that's definitely for us, and having like my partner and I, we have a construction company, so
Yep.
my guys tell them
a little different.
where they go where I tell them to
Definitely
go.
a benefit.
Yeah.
It's a huge benefit, definitely. That's a big one, and that's something you were talking about is trades and whatnot, and how important that is.
Yeah, just back to the network thing. It's nice to have a group of people that trust you and help you.
Who want to help you?
Yeah, like
Yep.
when I started working with Shannon, it was the first time I heard somebody say, "You and the other agent and people on the other, you're working together. You guys are going to close this deal together. You're on the same team."
Yep.
And that was the first time I was like, "Oh, that actually makes a lot of sense."
It does make a lot of sense, but you still meet really combative agents, and that's
Yeah. That's the unfortunate part.
Yeah.
it is unfortunate, but it's one of those things that it only I think makes me a better agent when I learn to process through that and work with that, because no matter what you do, at the end of the day, that person is the other side of your contract. So whether
Yeah.
you agree with them, or you like the way they talk to you, or you even like the way they do business, it doesn't matter. You have to do right by your client, and you're getting paid to work with this pain in the ass person.
Yes.
So smile
So make
and
it work.
nod. And
We were,
get it done.
I just asked Emily, she was on the pod right before you guys. What do you think that percentage of the agents that are difficult are?
So my question to you would be, are we talking about difficult, like, hey, I'm just a I don't know better, or difficult, like, I'm going to combat you at every
Let's
turn?
talk about both, I guess, because
Okay, so there's a lot of There's a lot of
Dum-dums.
Yeah, there's dum-dums, but there's a difference between I don't know because I don't have experience, and I refuse to educate myself because I'm stuck on this way of thinking. The latter, I have no interest in. You're not educated, but you're humble enough to go, I didn't know that. I will hold your hand as the other side and pay you all day.
you just want your client to get their deal done.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's only that.
Deal makers.
But it's not only that. It's also, I believe in the fact that, hey, if I have another deal or you have a deal, now I have a relationship with you.
Let's
And
work together.
Now I'm not a tit for tat, but now you owe me one. You know, like
Kind
I've
of,
helped
yeah,
you.
but-
You know, and it's like that's how it is. But the agents that are just
Egotistical, arrogant.
ego, it's
Just rude.
arrogant, it's people thinking that they know a lot more than they do.
They've been doing this for 25 years, Shannon. Come on.
We literally had an agent reach out to Claudia
Yesterday, or 2 days ago.
and berate us for a listing, saying we don't have any morals because of the listing
I must
price.
have not run my comps, and I don't have morals for my listing price.
After
and I was
asking
like,
us if we would take a certain type of offer, like they clearly had an interested buyer, and this was the way
yeah,
that
and
this
does your
person
buyer know how you're treating the other agent that you want to make an offer on this property? I mean, stuff like that. I'm just like, I was like, good luck.
Yeah, so that's lovely. But I think to deal with those people, the best thing is to retain your composure.
That's the hardest part. So I would literally.
Bite your tongue.
It's hard, but I also, one of the things that makes it the easiest for me is to know that that person that you're talking to, whether they're angry or they're frustrated or they have this unrealistic expectation of you, like you can't logically, it's like dealing with your 2-year-old.
Yeah.
You can't logically explain anything to it. You go, okay, I hear you. This is why I need to do this. Maybe it's because I'm a parent. Maybe that's
Maybe.
why I can do
That
that.
helps.
But it's just, I don't let people like that truly affect me. And then most of the time, most situations can be reduced if they're emotional if you don't get caught up in it with them.
Sure. I think I've talked about this with a couple other of our agents who really focus on the buyers, like work with buyers mostly. They're so just stressed out, I feel like, in this market because it is so difficult for
I feel for
buyers.
them.
I feel for them too. So I feel like they're having more bad days than they are good. So they're probably
Absolutely.
just maybe taking it out on you guys
I
on
think
that.
they're tired.
They're tired. They're exhausted. They're not making any money.
frustrated.
They're not.
They're running around like crazy.
Yeah, they're
But I
submitting
mean, I'm
offers.
sorry. That's also your choice.
It is their choice. Yep.
It is your choice to work in that environment. It is your choice to work that way. It is your choice to have a truly qualified buyer. It is your choice how much. I even told her the other day, hey, you really need to make sure that this is a house you think they might actually buy, not just they want to go look at it because it's pretty. Because your time is worth a lot of money
100%.
now. And if you're just someone who lets your clients control you, you're not going to make money in this business. It's the other way around.
Well, you just said the key word there, this business. This is a business. And I was
Right.
talking about that. I talk about this on this podcast. I've talked about it with all of you. The big difference in mentality here is from me because I am not an agent, but I am a business owner, multiple businesses, been an entrepreneur for 20 years now. Or almost 20 years. Holy shit.
25.
You have to, not that long. I'm not that old yet. But you have to have it as the mentality of running it as a business and not as a hobby, not as this side hustle bullshit. Like, this is a true business. You are here to make money and do it the right way
And
so
you
that
have
you can
to treat your
scale
time
it.
that way.
Yes, because that's how business owners operate. They don't just willy-nilly, I'm just going to do this today and make money. It's just
Right.
not how it works.
No, it's not. I mean, I did probably about a year and a half ago. I think you and I had this conversation. I broke down what I made hourly versus and so now I know what's worth my time and what's not. I will
Bingo.
say no to clients. I will say no to deals because it's not, someone maybe even me a year or 2 years ago, you said, oh, you're going to make this much money. And I would have gone, okay, that sounds great. And I'm like, And it's not because I make a lot of, I make good money, but I am not not rolling in the dough. But I know what I can make.
Yeah.
And I know that would take my time away from making better money.
Sure, and that's a great point. That what kind of quality of life do you want to have? Do you want to be stressed out and make
But
it?
that's why we're in real estate,
Right.
right?
That's why we work here.
Yeah, you're supposed to have fun along the way. I've been saying that for years too. If you're not having fun, you're doing something wrong.
Also, you're gonna like get old real quick.
The wrinkles and stuff.
Well, that's what Botox is for.
Oh.
Okay. Not my thing. Maybe
You
it
don't
will.
need any. You're just, you wake
Yeah,
up.
I
Great.
just got a crow's feet. That's all. I
Barely.
just
Those
gotta
are-
smile
those
so
are
much.
those
Yeah,
are
it's 'cause
laugh
you're just such a happy
lines.
guy.
Those are laugh lines. No, we like that. But in regards to other agents and working with them, I think the best thing is to just communication and to make sure.
You mean
that-
answering your phone?
Yeah, like picking up the phone.
You know, I am the queen of screening phone calls. I have no problem going, that is me. Send me a text, and we have iPhones that tell what the voicemail is, and then I'll call you back.
What's a voicemail? I don't have voicemail.
Yeah, mine's always full.
Well, yeah, there's that.
My voicemail just says I get a kick at least once or
Error.
twice a week. My voicemail message is do not leave me a message because it's full
Is
on
it?
purpose.
Right.
Send me a
I-
text message. It's 2021.
Yeah.
Mine comes as visual, so like I can read it, which is basically the same as a text. And then I'll decide if it's worth my time to call
Sure.
you back.
Absolutely.
And that's how I operate. And some people don't like that, and
You love your emails too, though. You're a big
I love
emailer.
emails.
She loves emails.
Well, it's trackable.
It's trackable. Yeah.
I'm all about you said this
Easy.
on paper. Like,
Right
I
here.
have it
Here's
written
where I
right here.
replied. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have a conversation with somebody, and I'll be like, okay, send me an email about that, and I'll
To
confirm.
reiterate
yeah,
our
and I'll
conversation.
confirm back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or send me a text, and I'll confirm back. Yeah, so we have it in writing.
Well, that's because I've been burned a couple times.
100%.
Always
oh
have it in
yeah.
writing.
Again, learn our lessons, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we've been going for a while. Let's talk a little bit about like some of the other difficult deals you've had to deal with recently that have just like kicked your ass that your clients would have no idea. We don't talk about specifics of the actual address or the client themselves, but like that you just kind of like eat that shit behind the scenes and like still made the deal happen.
Well, we're working on one right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a buyer right now who. I mean, it just sucks to have buyers right now.
Yeah.
I've submitted probably like a handful, maybe 5 offers. We finally get an offer. Super pumped about it. Doesn't appraise. So we're willing to bring some extra money to the table. We're going back and forth. We do an appraisal rebuttal. Denied. So then we're like, okay, we'll bring this much. Go back to the seller. He's thinking about it. No.
So this is actually a conversation of a deal that didn't get closed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I think is something that nobody talks about. Nobody talks about
Because
something.
guess what? You don't make no money.
Right.
We just spent 2 months on it. So
But it's also one of those things that is the reality of where we are in the market and as a buyer, and that was a very unique situation where we're talking under $10,000 that the seller.
Really?
Right. Yeah, and that's when I go, okay, I guarantee you. I told her, I was like, Claudia, we're gonna get a phone call in about 25 days.
Yep.
Yeah.
When they didn't get the cash buyer that they now need, because
now-
it's been appraised now.
Yeah, 'cause
like
now
you
that's
know
all
all
we're
these
gonna
get.
things.
Stick with it.
Yeah, and we're gonna say no
sorry. Yeah.
because we're
Yeah.
gonna already have another contract, and that's what's gonna
Probably,
be. Yeah, no.
And it's just like again, I think that's the issue with potential. Now, I'm not saying it's that the listing agent's issue. It could be, but it may not be. Of setting the proper expectations from the get-go as a listing agent with that.
Well, this is also
seller.
a listing agent that doesn't pick up the phone.
There you go.
Um,
That probably was
The
it.
phone
then.
was a landline. That was the only phone number.
So
I had.
that's where I literally we can all pick up on this stuff.
Right.
Like-
Of what the situation was. That this is probably a friend. That they just said, I'll throw it on the MLS for you. I
Exactly.
won't take a huge commission.
Right.
And this is what you get with that when you're going to sell
Right.
a house.
That's not a real. You might be listed as a full service, but you're not full service.
bullshit.
It's
Yeah.
not.
So-
That's not
Yeah,
what it
it's-
is. So there's that one.
That's what I'm saying. But that's why we're doing this podcast. Is like people don't really understand the power of having a real estate agent that knows what the hell they're doing
And
and treats it like a
works.
business.
Right. Well, and it's one of those things. I also look at it. For me, it's a time crunch. At the end of the day, if I hold this listing, whatever you've agreed to let me sell it for, after that, it's not mine anymore. It's gone in the wind. Poof. There it goes. They say you didn't sell this for me. Someone else says they can, and that's it. So I have to get it done. I have to get it done efficiently, and I have to get it done the first time.
Yeah. But why would you even take a listing if you're going to spend that marketing dollars or just even the time to list the property and do all that stuff if you're not going to do it
I
and make your
can't-
money? Because
I-
you don't make money till it closes.
Yeah, I
So
don't-
like, what's the point? Like,
I think for some people, they treat real estate passively.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's not very difficult to get your real estate
Oh, I
license.
know that.
And it's not difficult to...
It's not difficult to keep it either.
Yeah.
It's not hard to keep it. And if you're someone who maybe isn't doing it as your full-time job, or you're really just doing it because passively, maybe your partner or you have money or whatever it is, you're not hungry. These people aren't hungry. And
And
if
they
you're
don't get
not...
experience because they have one listing or two listings a year.
I think she's an older agent. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, you're good.
Like, there's 50-50 chance. So, like, you're either a guy or a girl. And it's that laziness. I've done this for years. I'm going to list it, bring me my number or don't, and that's it. 'Cause she doesn't have 10, 15 listings going. I checked.
The beauty of the internet.
You can figure it out.
There's not that much going on, but that's what it is. And we just entered under contract for our new listing that we just actually put out for Raph and Andrew. And that agent on that side is awesome and fantastic. And speaking of, this kind of rolls back around that I'm so excited about this deal because it's the same lender on my flip, Hatton in St. Pete.
Okay.
And that is why we took this contract.
There you go.
Because I worked with them. They're efficient. We closed early. Like, at all the things. And I was like, you write me an offer, bring me this number. And they said, okay. And that's
the relationships. It's the network, right? You're talking about, like, that facilitates that deal so much faster because you have worked with them. You know how they operate.
Right.
It's like you're going to then take that offer from that agent and go way to bat for your seller. And it's like, even if it was a few $1,000s less than the top offer that you might get, again, highest and best, as an agent.
Yeah, but best isn't always the highest number.
It's not. It usually isn't.
It's not. And it's also the reality of, I'm not going to talk into details because it hasn't closed yet, of everything that is going into the deal. But, you have agents who don't actually understand how lending works. So let's talk about having a good agent. I'm super fortunate that one of my, really good friends is an LO. I come from a background of hard money. I've worked with agents that didn't understand how a balloon payment worked. And things of that nature, who didn't understand so many aspects of, hey, your buyer is putting 20% down. I'm going to call the lender and see if maybe we can move it to 10 or 15 so there's some capital and for a gap. And agents go, well, you can't do that. What? Yes, I can. And yes, you can. And you should be talking to your buyers in this market about that, so they have that capital. Because that's what a seller wants. A seller wants to protect their contract price.
Yep, 100%.
But people don't know how to do it.
Everything in life is negotiable.
That's the best part about our contracts. Like, they're not these crazy
it's not written
iron.
in stone.
No, if you want the purple hammock in the back, write it in the contract. It's not. It's not that hard.
Yeah, it's really not. It's just, again, it goes back to what you said, communication.
Yep.
I think being a real estate agent is as easy as people think it is because this perspective of, that HGTV and, I go walk and I show pretty houses and don't you love this multi-million-dollar view? Nobody talks about the hours you spend negotiating. Nobody talks about how many deals fell out before that one. Like, nobody talks about missing your kids and their birthdays or having to go at 9 o'clock at night to go show a house because it just hit market and your buyers missed out on 6 different properties. Nobody talks about that.
Nobody talks about it.
It's not
That's
pretty.
why we're talking about it.
Because it's not glamorous and it's not.
I remember, like, when I first started on the investor side, it was the same thing, though. I watched HGTV, or actually it was A&E back when they had flipped this house. That's how long ago I was.
Do you remember Christopher Lowell from, Okay, I'm going to send you a picture of him. Side note, kind of looks like you.
Okay.
Now that I think about it.
Oh, boy.
And that was going to be a great I'm going to make a meme. It's going to be an Alcaz meme. It's going to be great.
Oh, boy. I can't wait to see that one. But, like, they make it look so easy on TV. They make it look so easy at the seminars, right? They're just talking how it's all this easy, everyone can do it, blah, blah, blah. It's still like that today. Like, now it's just on social media where everyone can do it. And it's just like, no, we were talking to Emily. All of us were just talking about how difficult wholesaling is to do it the right way because it's not easy.
Well, I would disagree with one thing you said. I think anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it if they take the time to learn. And
if you have to take the time to learn, you have to be hungry, and you have to. I'm a huge advocate for my team. So that book. It's not. Is it not me? It's not how. It's who.
It's not. Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm trying to think of.
Who,
that.
not how.
Thank you. Which is like terrible. It's on my bookcase, and I can't remember the name.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's what it is.
I read the first 2 chapters. I was like, okay, I get it. Thanks.
Yeah.
I really
I
enjoyed
read
that
it
book.
on the title.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but
it's true.
sometimes, but you kind of already have that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't,
Definitely
especially in this day and age and our generation, where it's where selfishness was kind of ingrained in us to be a good thing. I don't need anybody, and I'm gonna figure it out, and that's cool. You're gonna work twice as hard, my friend.
If not more than twice as hard.
Definitely more than twice
Yeah.
as hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you said. Surround yourself with people who are smarter than you,
Yeah.
because
I
they,
try.
at the end of the day, are going to help you. And
You should never be the smartest one in the room. That whole saying
Then you
is
need a
true.
new room.
You need a new room if you are. Exactly.
There's nowhere to level up.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's why masterminds exist for a reason. People
Right.
pay anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 to $25,000 a year to be part of big masterminds, and some are more. Mm-hmm. Because those people are smarter than they are, and they want to pick their brains, and they want to be around those
So
people.
to go down a rabbit hole, how many people who do you think are paying that money? The percentage of people who are actually taking what they learn and applying it.
So in the seminar business, it's 97.3. 97% don't do shit with
Really?
anything. It's education business, yeah.
Right. Okay. So
That's
about
why
3%.
if you ever come to TBRIA, like the first of the year, we have 3 chairs sitting in the front of the room. We always have at least 100-something people in the room.
Right.
And those 3 seats always sit vacant because everyone's afraid to be in the top 3%.
Okay.
Because the other 97 are part of
Watch
the herd.
me next time. I'm gonna come
Yeah, we're
sit
going
up there.
in
You'll be on the lookout for it. We've done it, and literally no one will sit there.
Really?
And then I'll say at the end of I look at the chairs and I go, this is why none of y'all are successful. Because you aren't willing to step away from the masses and be a part of the 1%.
We know that I don't have that problem.
No, but that's the whole point, is that I bet if you're going to pay a $25,000 mastermind, you're probably taking something away and actually implementing that.
I would hope.
I would
so.
hope so, but the people that come to, RIAs, or they come to seminars, it's a 97% don't do anything with it.
Right.
Or if they do something and they fail, they blame it on the seminar host.
Okay. Yeah. You didn't teach me.
Yeah,
enough.
it was not my fault that I didn't take enough action, and that's where I've had agents here. I've had investors who've come through my wholesaling class or just been around TBRIA, and I'm like, all right, and they're like, this isn't working. I go, well, how many offers have you made? Well, I've made 10 offers, or I've made even 50 offers. I go, do you know how many offers it took me to get my first deal? It was over 400 offers to get my first deal. And this is back in 2013.
Right.
So don't give me shit that you've done everything to get
Well,
your.
that's where
it's
it
just
comes-
not the way it works.
Well, that's what it comes down to. I always say, just you have to be hungry, and I don't care how much money you have. You have to stay hungry. You have to do that.
Always stay hungry. Yeah.
And that's the hustle. That's the difference.
Yep.
That's,
And if you go read this book, for you that maybe not read 10X Rule by Cardone, he talks about it. Well, times that he is like all of a sudden felt weird or off, it's when he's resting on his laurels, as he calls it. He's sitting on his ass. I've made it. I'm successful. And then he took it and 10X'd it and was like, now look at the dude, he's a billionaire.
Well, we talked about it earlier about one of the biggest, talk about mistakes we've made, about being complacent.
I've been guilty of that plenty of times.
Yeah, and there's a difference between complacent and I'm giving myself a mental break.
Oh, big time.
You have to
Yeah.
in this business, especially in this market. But wanting to go, okay, I've done this, I'm successful at it. What do I do next? And a lot of people don't have that. And those are the difference between the closers and the people who aren't.
True.
So what's our next?
What's our next? Oh Lord, there's so many things. What is there not next? A team of people. I think we're ready for that.
Okay.
So I'm excited about.
What does that mean?
I want to. I've been working very closely with some marketing and whatnot, and I want to bring people in and teach people how to not just be an agent, but we kind of have a concierge model where we're really fortunate. We're investors. So even if it's a regular, what I call regular retail listing, we know what we can do and cost effectively to get more money for you.
Sure.
So there's that mentality. And then there's the other of how to really take care of your client. And I see it constantly where people don't know how to manage their listings. People who don't go to their appraisal appointments.
Jesus.
People who don't, we make appraisal
Insane.
packets.
We
We make packets, we make sure we're
show
there. We know the development in the area. We can tell you where the equity is going to be in a year. And these are all things that we go to the appraiser with.
Yep.
Which is
Awesome. It should be common practice, but it's not.
It's not, but that's okay because my mentality is, well, then I'll just be better than you.
That's right. And that's why you will have repeat business, and that's why you will
Exactly.
be in 5 years where these people will never be.
Right, and that's okay because I love competition.
It drives us all. It should drive you anyway. I know it drives most of us here.
I love it because it's one of those things that if let's say I didn't get the deal or I didn't get the client, I'm able to step back and go, okay, maybe that just wasn't my authentic client, which is a whole other subject that we could talk about, right?
We ain't got time for that.
No, we don't have time for that. But did that other person provide them with something I didn't? Did they make them comfortable? Did they have knowledge I didn't? Where did I fail?
Yeah.
And it's also, I have no problem asking someone, hey, totally cool, you didn't choose me. Can you tell me why?
Yeah.
How can I be better?
Absolutely. Because that doesn't hurt anything. Because they're going to tell you. They're not going to be an asshole and tell you, not tell you. They're going to tell you what you did wrong.
Most people who are good humans will appreciate humility.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been screaming that for years. Again, like you said earlier, I don't know, but I'll find out and come back to you. That's what 99% of people would be like, oh, that's awesome. Okay, he's not trying to fake it till he makes it. Or just being, an asshole and pretending like you. Because then if you tell them something wrong and you get proven wrong, now you're the asshole.
Not only that, but now you've lost their trust.
Yes, 100%.
And that's not what this business is about, especially on the retail side. You're dealing with people's, most people purchase, how many 3 homes in their lifetime?
Yeah.
This is not, we're a little bit numb to it because we purchase and buy homes, in our sleep. But it's different when you have that and you're working with a client, whether it's your listing or it's your buyer. They have to love you. They have to trust you because if they don't, you're not going to be able to guide them to take the right offer or to write the correct one.
Correct.
And that's it.
But this business is again about repeat business. Right. It's all referral based, or most of it is referral based. You're not getting a ton of people to work with you that you don't already know.
No.
Because it's all based on referrals.
Well, it's a weird thing, so especially now that we're living in this day of social media where even our social media leads is kind of a referral.
It is.
Because these people are reaching out to you because they've seen you active and they see and they feel like they know you. So now they're comfortable to say, hey, can you help me?
Yep.
Which is crazy when you think of the reach that you can get.
If you go back, if you guys haven't listened to it, if you you guys are watching or listening now, go back and listen to Salem's. She literally talks about her breakdown of how social media helps her close more deals than anything else.
And she's the queen of it. And
yeah,
she's so
amazing
good at
it.
Yeah.
So social media is a great closing tool, not necessarily for the lead generation aspect, but it is literally the thing that may put you over the edge.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's the thing, social media is great for that, but I think more importantly, the whole conversation that we've been having is, are you working towards it? Are you making sure that your clients are being served properly? And that's the biggest thing in this market that we keep on running into is they're not. And so I think the difference here and at Outfast and the difference that Claudia and I do is that we are. And we will continue to be, no matter how many listings or how much money we make, because that's just that's the group that is here, and that's it.
It is. Well, ladies, thank you very much for taking your time today, coming over and joining us on the podcast. If you guys watching, listening, found good value from these two lovely ladies, all of their information is in the show notes. If you'd like to work with them on the buying side, investing side, or selling a house, make sure you reach out to them. They are amazing at what they do. They're great at the design. So we didn't even talk about that today.
I know. There's so many things.
There's so many we can talk
prepared.
about. Maybe we'll bring on another one, talk about designing and whatnot. But they're phenomenal what they do. Their Instagram handles will be in there as well, so you guys can reach out to them. If you found value in what we've talked about today, too, make sure you're subscribing to us on YouTube and liking us on Spotify and Apple and everywhere else out there. Give us a rating review. We really appreciate it because it helps us get our message out there. And we will catch you guys on the flip side. Thank you, ladies.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Back. Hands up.